Coach Corey Wayne, and this is my video coaching newsletter. And the topic of today's newsletter is going to be the Clueless Creepy Stalker. Well, I've got an email for you today, and it is a fucking doozy. This is definitely facepalm material. And you say, what the hell's a facepalm, Corey? It's one of these. Oh, man, you didn't do that, dude. Come on. Yeah, it's one of those. But this particular guy met a girl, and this is like every woman's biggest nightmare, is coming across a guy who does these things. And it's interesting, the self-talk that this guy goes through and thinking, hey, this is totally rational, this is totally normal and acceptable type of behavior. And his logic that he tells himself makes sense, obviously, but when you look at what he actually does, what he actually says, and how other people perceive the things that he's doing, it freaks him out. This is definitely not something you want to do in real life, or you'll get your ass thrown in jail, you'll get maced, or you get a father that just beats your ass because he's protecting his little girl. So I got a quote that I wrote in this topic, and then we're going to go through this particular guy's email. And this guy is like, he's a horrible pickup artist. He really needs to work on his game. His problem is he gets attached and hung up on a girl that he likes, but he ignores the fact that she's not interested, and he proceeds to like continue showing up, trying to make a coincidence happen. And all it really ends up happening is he just scares the shit out of her to the point where the police get involved. So the quote says, in order to attract a woman and maintain that attraction, you must continually make her feel safe and comfortable. If you are a man who has lots of choices with women, you are going to be focused on making sure you pick the right one. That means the best one for you, who fulfills all of your needs, wants, and desires. You'll see yourself as a catch, and if you're a man who feels he has no choice with women, you'll be focused on trying to force, control, and manipulate women into wanting you and being with you. That is a scarcity mindset. The reality is there are about 7 billion people on the planet, and about half of them are women. It is physically impossible to date all of the women who would go out with you when you act like a man who has abundance and choice. However, if you believe and act in ways that are consistent with not being worthy of any woman, you will scare away and repulse every woman you encounter. And so for those of you guys out there that are feeling pretty bad about your game, or that your pickup skills, and thinking, oh man, I really suck, this is one of those emails that go, you know, I don't really feel so bad. I think I'm pretty fucking awesome. But, I mean, the bottom line is, as bad as this guy's email is, there's other people out there that do way fucking worse. So hopefully this guy will take this tongue lashing that he's about to get and learn from it and say, you know what, it's probably not the best way to show up and interact with women. So he says, Dear Coach, I usually follow your videos, and you can be sure I consider you one of the best. After seeing so many of your videos and reading your book 2 times, I consider you a friend. Well, good. I'm about to give you some tough love, dude. He says, I'm writing you because I have a problem with the girl that I like, but I made too many errors, which at the time I had no clue that I was making them. Well, hopefully looking back you realize, I really fucked up. That's important, because you got to be willing to be honest with yourself. It's one of the things I learned from Tony Robbins many years ago, is you want to see things as they are. Not better than they are and not worse than they are, but obviously in this particular case, for most of this, what he's going to describe here in his email, he was seeing things as way better than they are. He was totally bullshitting himself. He was ignoring reality. He continues on, she was very friendly the first time we met in the street, and she was with a girlfriend, and the conversation with her lasted only a few minutes, just asking for a direction and a little more, but we sensed a good vibe between us. I.e., you sensed a good vibe. You're projecting your attraction onto the other person and assuming they feel the same way. He says, after that first encounter, I showed up in her town to try and find her again. I wrote down the license plate of her car. Come on, man. And after some days, I found her car and I waited for her. But I made the first mistake in my opening phrase, and I told her that I mentioned that I memorized the license plate of her car. Yeah, that's pretty much, hey, I'm a creepy stalker, and I'm a bad pickup artist. Dude, if you met this girl and you felt there was a connection, you said, you know what, you seem like a nice girl, we should grab a cup of coffee sometime, or we should get together for a drink sometime. When are you free to get together? Right there in front of her and with her friend. But instead, you thought, oh, I don't want to be weird and creepy, and what if she rejects me? So instead, you're like, oh, let me stalk her. Let me write down her license plate number. That's a really great idea. I think I'm going to try that. And just keep showing up. And hopefully next time she'll be alone. So he says, I wanted to start the conversation with a true fact, and now I know it was not an intelligent opening phrase. You think? Yeah, saying, hey, you know what? I remember last time we ran into each other. You know what? I wrote your license plate number now because, you know, I may need that in the future. And I come near her and asked her to talk a bit with her, and she smiled, looked at me in a surprised, friendly, loving manner, but got in the car and she said she was not interested, and off she went. And look what he says. However, I sensed she liked a bit of me, and I'm a good-looking guy. I was casually dressed, but my body language of coming to her in that way made me appear needy. Dude, telling her that, hey, I wrote your license plate number down the last time we were there because I didn't have the balls to ask you out in person. So I figured, hey, getting your license plate number is, hey, it's the second best thing, you know. Come on, dude. Seriously. Look at the way you're deluding yourself here. She says, I'm not interested. And you're going, I really think she's interested. 2 days later, I went to the same place again, a gym where she worked out, and there she was with two people in the car, which I assumed correctly were her parents. This situation was not very clear for me, and I ended up waiting for her to come out of the gym. She came sooner than I expected and looked at me about 20 meters distance, got in the car and passed by me, indicating me with her finger to her parents, and off she went. Yeah, Mom, Dad, there's that fucking weird guy. He's been like following me for a couple of days now. Her father looked at me and I assumed to judge about my looks and age. No, he was probably looking at you thinking, should I run him over with my car? Should I get out and beat him to death? Should I shoot him? Should I go to the police? Should I take a picture of this guy? He says, I'm 47 years old and I look about 35 and she must be 23 or 24. Dude, she's probably like 18 or 19. Bad fucking way to go, dude. 2 days after that, I went to wait for her at the gym, and she was with the same girlfriend the first time I saw her. I unwisely had brought some roses to surprise and impress her. Oh, a bribe for a date. Bad way to go. You've seen too many movies, dude. It's like, and you don't see anything like odd about this? She said that she was not comfortable in me showing up almost every day and that my approach was done in the wrong manner. She's trying to be nice and help you and say, dude, this shit ain't, you're a bad pickup artist. Then she brought up the age issue. He says, surely influenced by her father. Come on, man. And she was asking me what I wanted a girl her age for, and I replied in a laughing manner if she thought I was too old for her, and showed her the roses that I bought her. I picked them from behind a tree next to me where I kept them hidden. So you like put the roses to like, oh hey, wait a minute, I got a gift. You go over, hey, dude. Come on. I picked them up from behind a tree next to me where I kept them hidden, and after that, her body language started to show me she was not comfortable with me around, and she took some steps back. Yeah, this is the type of situation that every girl thinks I'm going to end up like chopped up in the back of somebody's backyard and buried. It's like, dude, this is like every woman's worst fucking fear and worst nightmare. She took some steps back and she threatened to call the police, and her friend promptly grabbed the mobile phone to do it. And all this, which I think was exaggerated enough for me that I left the scene waving goodbye to them. This was a serious situation because the girl clerk from the gym appeared, and I also had not left, and the situation would be even more embarrassing. All this time I was facing her directly, front to front, which I now know was the wrong approach and the wrong body language. I had never been in a situation like that, and this was very stressful for me. I did not understand the reason why, and now after thinking well about it and putting me in her shoes, I start to understand, but I still think that it was a bit exaggerated. No, dude, it was totally fucking inappropriate what you did. I had the best of intentions, but as they say, hell is full of good intentions. I did not go and see her again, as I had to travel about 250 kilometers to another place where I had a job to do. After about a month, I appeared in her town and saw her by chance leaving the gym. That's not by chance, dude. You fucking staked out the gym waiting for her. Hey, maybe a month from now it'll be okay. Like, she called the cops on you the last time. You're like, yeah, I'll show up next time. Maybe she'll be cool. However, as I did not want to go to the same place where there was such negativity, I hoped she would go to have a snack in the center of town nearby. Sometimes she does it. This tells me like you're just fucking watching her all the time, dude. It's like, come on, man. Fuck. He says, I hope to meet her there this time and doing it right. My hope did not materialize, and she got in her car and headed in the direction of home. I couldn't do anything. How do you know where she lives? Did you follow her home one day? Then I had to come back to the place of my job far away from her town, and I did not forget about her, and I started to think of ways to contact her. I did not have any of her contacts, mobile phone, email, Facebook, or anything, so since I knew where she lived, I started to think of putting a letter in her mailbox. So you obviously definitely followed her home. Dude, what the fuck are you thinking, man? Seriously. And with my email and phone, he says I didn't have Facebook at the time, which now I came to regret. I went several times to her town, wishing to find her, but I never found her again. Dude. So in September, I put a letter with a rose attached in her mailbox. Now I know it was wrong. Dude, the last time you ran into her, she called the cops on you and you hauled ass? This is way fucking inappropriate, dude. Don't ever fucking call or contact this woman again. Stay the fuck away from her town and say, you know what? I'm going to chalk that up to experience. It's a good thing you didn't get your ass thrown in jail. But it ain't over yet. It continues. He says, I never had a reply, but I put in a second, third, wishing a happy Christmas and a good year for all. So in other words, you kept showing up at her house, putting shit in her mailbox. Stuffing her mailbox with goodies. I'm sure that went over like a lead balloon. And a fourth on the evening of St. Valentine's Day. Those letters were written with good intention, and I revealed much of me in them, maybe because I wanted to assure her and her parents indirectly that I was not a bad person that deserves to be told or reported to the police. Dude, she said she wanted nothing to do with you, and yet you just keep showing up. Oh, I'm gonna wear her down, and she's gonna throw in the towel and go, ha! Oh, boy, after, the first 100 times that you showed up, I thought, in the 101 time, I thought, wow, he really is a handsome guy, and I probably should go out with him. That's not creepy at all that he's stuffing my mailbox full of all kinds of shit every couple of months. As soon as I think he's gone, boom, another letter shows up. Huh. I wrote some things that I now know I shouldn't have said, which I revealed to her for my lack of savvy or intelligence in dealing with her. I almost surely now know that during the time she was studying hard and she did not want a boyfriend in her life to bother her and to take time. However, on St. Valentine's Day, I went to her town, which is about 25 kilometers from mine, and I found her car by chance. Oh yeah, that's a coincidence. When we saw each other, she was leaving the supermarket and saw me, and I asked her what she thought of my letters. Did you really need a response to that? She didn't respond to any of them, dude. That's kind of a clue. It was the first thing that came to my mind, and she said she did not want more letters and that her father was getting pissed off. This was after about 10 months without seeing each other face to face. And threatened again to call the police. Then two of her friends arrived by car. Her mother and her sister. I heard her telling them about me, that I was a good person, but I was too old for her. She went in the supermarket again with them, and I left the scene with my car, and I did not understand at the time what her behavior meant. I went to take care of business that I had in her town, but I could not leave her alone in my thoughts. Due to my profession in the Navy and the Merchant Marine, I earned my living well, but I lost much in the process. It's a lonely profession. I lost the skills in dealing with good girls to have a lasting relationship and eventually marry, have a family, and we only had the chance to do it with professional sex entertainers. Dude, you should be reading my book 10 to 15 times. Your approach is totally fucked. It is totally foobarred. It's a fucking train wreck. It's a train wreck in a fucking magnitude 15 on the Richter scale earthquake. It's fucking planets colliding bad. That's awful, dude. I left my profession due to an accident in an oil tanker, which got me some neurological damage and sensitivities, and I moved to the country to clean up my lungs, but then again, there was no chance to interact with decent girls, at least ones that suited me to have a serious relationship with and possibly marry. Now I know this kind of thinking is not right in the approach to a girl. Well, maybe you are learning a little bit. He says, As I thoughts could not leave me, later I passed again in the supermarket bar where she was still talking with her friends, and as crazy as I was, I went in there and started talking in a friendly manner with both her and the mother and her friend. In the back of my mind, there was that same thought that I had to show her that I had good intentions. In other words, you got to prove yourself to her. In other words, you're just proving that you're a fucking Fruit Loop and you're scaring the crap out of them. If I went to her and a company friend to a public place, and there was no need for her to raise the question of calling the police on me. I thought if she had insecurities about talking alone with me, those would not manifest in the company of a friend of hers at a certain extent. I think I was right. Dude, she wanted nothing to do with you. She's told you umpteen times and she's ignored every contact. It's like, dude, you're about as clueless. It's like, you ever see the old Back to the Future movies? Hello, McFly! Hello! Now I know that it was wrong, and I showed desperate and needy behavior. However, on that occasion, I managed to get a smile of her when I said with a witty smile that I was not an old man, and that she started to make me see the problems I had caused by her by putting those letters in her mailbox, and I replied that it was the only way I had to express my feelings for her, and she agreed to some extent, and I romantically said to her that from my house I could see her village, which were about 30 kilometers apart. We live on the top of the hills, and she must have felt very angry at me because her eyes turned very hard on me. So in other words, you just admitted, hey, I know where you live, by the way. Well, she already knows where you live because you've been showing up. So she's probably thinking this guy probably moved so he could, like, watch me from his house. It's like this, all that shit's got to be going through her mind. This is a fucking bad way to go, dude. He says, I do not know what she thought. It wasn't good. I promise you that. Then I said that I would talk to her father if she so wished, but then a little later she said I did not respect her, and I asked for her name, but she did not, and told me that and then she left with her two friends. I left too, and I looked at her in the distance. I knew by her facial expression that I had broken her heart with my behavior. No, you just freaked her out and scared her half to death. And deep inside I felt devastated by that too, and perhaps even more than her because I liked her very much. I did not want to see her suffer because of my mistakes in dealing with her. I didn't control my words, and I told her that thing in front of her friend that I had said to myself that I would reveal only to her on a special occasion when we knew each other better. He says this was the 14th of February, and on the 15th of February I had a call from the police to come to the office on Monday. I was devastated by all of this. Oh, goody. I went to the police office and I talked to the agent, and he had on his desk the 4 letters that she had left there to add to the process, and he told me that she had said to him that I had done everything wrong, she had had enough, and he threatened that if I did not stop pursuing her, they would go to court, and I told him my version. In fact, every time I met her and came to know where she lived by coincidence. Sure. I got a fucking bridge I want to sell you. I got some beachfront property in Chernobyl for you. It was like a force attracting me to that person like her I've never experienced before, and I had never had any contact with her, and I lived 25 kilometers from her town. The police officer understood my point but told me to stay away from her or things would get really hairy for me. I stayed away, and I felt bad about the whole situation. passing to her the wrong image of me, and I started thinking I had no chance other than going back to the professional sex entertainers, my old ways, which I'm trying hard to change. Dude, read the book 10 to 15 times and go out there and start interacting with women and actually ask them out on a date. And when a woman says no, say, well, it was nice meeting you. That's the problem, is that you didn't take no for an answer. And when a guy does that, it's like there's been countless movies done where guys do exactly what you do and they do really bad things to the women. And that's a bad fucking way to go, dude. You're like probably one of the worst pickup artists that I've seen so far. And you may be a good guy, but the way you're going about it, you're going to freak out every woman. And you just can't go about things in that manner. If you apply the things I teach in my book and you give women the freedom to come and go, women who like you and who find you attractive will want to stay in your life. You should only want to be with somebody who wants you in their life, not somebody that's constantly telling you no and trying to run away and get away from you. You should have the attitude that, hey, I'm a catch. And I'm going to keep circulating, and I'm going to keep meeting women and interact with them until I find one who actually wants to hang out with me. Circulation is the key to the universe. I mean, think about it. What happens if the Earth stops rotating around the sun? That would probably be bad. What would happen if the planet just spun out of control? That would be probably really fucking bad. What happens as far as if your heart stopped beating? That would be very bad because you would be dead then. Circulation is the key to the universe. Keep circulating, keep moving through life. I want you to ask out 100 different women the moment you meet them. Watch the video that I did called Improving Your Social Skills and go to the mall and practice that. Practice getting phone numbers, practice getting dates, just practice talking to people and interacting with them. You got to develop your social skills. You got to work at it. You got to practice it and stop getting hung up on one person and zeroing in on them. Unless they reciprocate interest, you got to keep moving. You got to keep circulating. Otherwise, you're going to fucking wind up in jail or fucking dead, dude. It's a bad fucking way to go. You can do better, man. Cut this fucking shit out once and for all. So if you'd like to get my help personally, the quickest way is to book a paid phone, Skype, or email coaching session. You can choose any of those options by going to my website, clicking the products tab at the top of your screen, and just follow the instructions for booking whichever option works best for you. And I will talk to you soon.